Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day is a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth, celebrating our 64th week. We've got a full house today, not a chair to spare. Sweeney, clear the floor. Katie, bar the door. Molly, put on another cup of coffee. We've got a show to put on right away. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. You can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, where you can check out the written show notes on the blog, and you can also search our podcast by typing any word you like, and check out all our publications too. Yes, it's just another free service from the Irish Roots Cafe. And remember, you can phone me at 816-256-3360 anytime. Leave your comments, your family search, your song, or your recitation on my recorder. We'll take it from there. Try it, you'll like it. Among today's topics, Tyrell is the family name of the week. Searching for Counihan, St. John, Brennan, Sheehan, and Ford. Roscommon Genealogy Centre is today's website. Irish language immersion in Ontario, Canada. County Roscommon Ireland genealogy is the book of the month. And why Belfast is a home to a festival of fools. Just a reminder, you can get all three of my podcasts. You can get the series you're listening to now, which is the Irish Families Worldwide. And you can also get the History of the Irish in America podcast and the Irish Song and Recitation Festival. You can get all three of them. Just go to our webpage at irishroots.com, and you can click on our blog to get there right away as well. Let's take a look at the notes here at the cafe this week. Well, we should have all of our old items transferred over to the new web server by the end of this week. Boy, I hope so. I've been waiting a long time for that. And then we'll begin to start on the new features and work out any of the bugs on the community items, where we sign in with our own profile and you can talk with other members and get some tips on your research and share ideas, that sort of thing. If you're a member now, you can go ahead and sign in and start your profile up. It might be a little rough at times, but it should accept the information you put in there. And last week we featured Macushla on our Irish Song and Chat broadcast. And I think next week we're going to feature that Irish lullaby song. Isn't that the one that goes Tura Lura Lura? And soon thereafter we'll be doing the national anthem of Ireland in Irish and English by none other than Peter Riley Adams. And that'll round out the first 10 episodes that he did. And then we've got a few new contributors for the future episodes. And remember, you can sure call in yourself and help us on that for future episodes. We're ready to start the new season. We'd be glad to hear from you. And of course, we're preparing to speak in Savannah, Georgia on the 26th of April. We'll have a little bit more on that later. I talked to Walt Harper. He's putting that together down there in Savannah. Showed me a picture of the room it's going to be in, a nice view of the city. Boy, that's a pretty place. I'm telling you, I'm really looking forward to Savannah and meeting all the good people down there. Walt tells me we've got some Irish dancers showing up. So it should be a real nice little get-together there for the 25th anniversary of those folks in Savannah. And you're all welcome to come along. So take a look at our blog. We've got Walt's number and information on there if you're interested. I think that's the 26th of April. Now I think it's time to move on to the book of the week. Well, the book of the week this week is County Roscommon Ireland Genealogy and Family History. And that's one of our spiral bound books. It's part of our 34 volume set on Irish families, history, and genealogy. And here's a little sample extract from the book. The names that were most common in the 1800s based upon the 1890 birth index. And what were some of those names? Well, let's take the top 10 or so. That was Kelly, McDermott, Byrne, Reagan, Flanagan, Connor, McDonough, Quinn, Murray, Brennan, Higgins, Toohey, Kinney, and Flynn. And you can spell those names any way you'd like. Flynn can have a Y in it, or it can have an I in it. You never know how it's going to end up. And while we're talking about Roscommon, let's take a look at that special map, the first big surname map ever put together. That was published down back around 1848 or so. That was in Counihan's translation of the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. And on that map, well, there's too many names here. Let me just pick out a few of those listed as chiefs on that map. And the chiefs I see it shows as Brennan, Byrne, Counihan, O'Byrne, of course, MacKeo, O'Hanley, Malconry, O'Monaghan, O'Morinan, and O'Norton. Boy, here's a prince, MacDermott. Of course, MacDermott was a famous prince back there. I've seen a lot about them. And O'Kelly was also a famous prince. And how could you be a prince and not be famous? But anyway, that map's pretty good, and it was the first of its kind, and it's the best that really been put out for 100 years. There's no doubt about it. They put some work into that, and I believe it was Dr. McDermott that put that map together. Well, let me see. That's the end of the extract for the County Roscommon book, names in that book. Let me see. What else? What do we have coming up later this episode? Well, let me see. There's a retailer in Northern Ireland, and they've just taken out all of the mole repellers from their stores. Now, why in the world would they take out all of their products, all of their mole-repelling products from their stores in Northern Ireland? We'll find out about that in a second. A lot of you are already going to figure that one out. But now it's time to move on to the member search list. Well, who do we have this week? Let's pick, let me reach right in there. Pull out what we got here. Okay, we've got, let's take 5 new members, maybe 6. Let's see what we got here. New member, Joseph P. Counihan of Savannah, Georgia. He's looking for John James Counihan. And Joseph, maybe I'll see you when I'm down there in Savannah. I hope so. New member number 2, Michael Scott St. John of San Antonio, Texas. Boy, I spoke it down in San Antonio about 20 years ago. That was a long time. That was one of my first opportunities to speak. I sure did enjoy it. And let me see. He's looking for St. John and says that he thinks they came over in the 1700s from Scotland to Armagh, Tipperary, or Dublin. And he wants to find out if that's true. New member number 3, Mary Bryson of Longford, Ireland. Welcome. And she's looking for Brennan of County Roscommon. Number 4, new member John Joseph Sheehan of Burlington, Massachusetts. And he's chasing down 3 Irish branches. Cork City holds a lot of them. There's a John J. Sheehan who married a Catherine Kingston, and a John Riley who married Mary Coleman. And thirdly, maybe in County Clare, he thinks John Callanan married Mary O'Brien. You can look at the dates and more detailed information on the blog. Number 5, new member David Ford of Fort Collins, Colorado. He's looking for McConsnava. I can't pronounce that right, but that's the Irish way they got word and family name that got translated into the name of Ford. And he's looking for the family coats of arms and genealogy. And then we've got 2 orders from England. Bernard Crampsey of London. Your Surnames of Ireland book has shipped. And John T. Smith of Buzzard, England. Your Families of County Clare has shipped. Joan Lowry of Fombal, Pennsylvania. Your County Clare and County Galway genealogy and family history books have shipped. And that sure reminds me to thank all of our members, because without you, these podcasts would not be possible. And donations are always accepted, and sponsors sure are welcome. You can even be a silent sponsor. We've got a couple of those. Now it's time to move on to the Irish family name of the week. And the family name of the week this week is Tyrell. Tyrell is the way we're going to spell it most often today. Of course, there's a lot of other ways to spell it. And today's family history is in honor of member Frank Hollingsworth of Elkins, Pennsylvania, looking for the Tyrell or Tyrell family before 1800. And that would be either spelled with a single R or a double R. Tyrell. And we're wondering what happened to that family before 1800. That's when the research starts getting real difficult in Ireland, or a lot harder. And there's other ways to spell the name, of course. Instead of a Y in there, you can put an I. And that's pretty much a common event when you're spelling Irish names. So Tirrell can be a spelling of Tyrell just as well as Ty. Now, let's take a look at the history of the name. Now, like so many other names we find when we start researching, Tyrell is an Anglo-Norman family who arrived in Ireland with the 12th century invasions. And that's really a big departure point in Irish history. That was a big change in the Irish culture. Of course, it took several hundred years for it really to take full shape. And the Tyrell family, they're noted for settling in the areas around Dublin, Kildare, and in County Westmeath. You might take a look at the place names of Ireland, and you'll find Tyrrell's Pass and Tyrrell's Town in the barony of Fertulla in County Westmeath. Now, if you take a look at older maps, you'll show several locations in different counties that bear the name. In more modern times, the family is often found in County Wicklow, so they moved around a bit, or a brand new Tyrell moved in from another country somewhere. Who knows? You'll have to research that to be sure. And of course, like so many families, you can find there's several branches of the name on record, including Tyrell of Westmeath and Dublin, and Tyrell, Mayor of Dublin, and just plain old regular Tyrell of Dublin. Find references to those in the books. And also mentioned are those of Athboy, Simonstown, Kilbride, Caverstown, and Fertulla. Fertulla seems to keep repeating itself, so there must be a traditional center right there. Now, if we go back to 1890, the family is most numerous in Dublin, Kildare, and Wicklow. So that's a little later than our member wanted to look at, but that tells you at least where they went to. Now we got to figure out if they were there before 1800 or if that happened later. It's all part of the fun of research, folks. Now, if we take a look at the Irish Book of Arms, like we do for everybody, of course, a lot of Irish families aren't included in there because, well, sometimes they didn't want those arms. It might have marked them as collaborators with the government. You never know. You have to look a little deeper in the picture to find out just really what the true story was. But in this case for Tyrell, we don't find any in the documented second edition of the Irish Book of Arms, but they might have been in that first edition, and I didn't document that one as well. There were some undocumented sources I took some things from, and I included a lot of arms in there, but when it came time to reprint, I thought, well, I'm going to be a little more official this time, and if I can't prove where it comes from, I'm not going to put it in the book. So that's why it's not in the second edition. Of course, there's more than one research for these things, so as long as you got a source, it counts. I wouldn't stop looking just because it's not in that second edition. Well, what do we got now? We're going to see what books. We're going to go to the free master index search of Irish names on our webpage, and we're going to see where we found it. Sort of shows you how it is when you do research, just to start it up. Now, we find Tyrell is in our families of County Limerick and County Dublin and County Donegal books. And in Dublin, we have specific mention of a Hugh Tyrell and also Tyrell of Powerstown. Those are a couple of well-known names. Now, we also find them in our county books, our little spiral-bound editions that come on later in that series. And they're found in the Roscommon and the Tyrone and the Meath and Westmeath books. And here's one that doesn't come up too often, Irish Knighthoods. Now we find a G Tyrell and an H Tyrell listed in that book. And we also find it in the Kildare, Wicklow, and Carlow genealogy book. And If you take a look at the census of Ireland, the 1659 census, that's back before 1800, we can find Tyrell in there, and they spelled it with 2 R's and 2 L's at that time. And let's round it off with a 10th resource, and that is the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. And they talk about a battle being held at Tyrrell's Pass, and also about a Hugh Tyrrell. I wonder if that's the same one or if that's a name that just gets passed down through the generations. Well, that's about it for Tyrrell. We'll just give a few clues this week. We're going to move on to the website of the week. Well, today's website's going to be the research service for County Roscommon, and that would be roscommonroots.com. I've got the full address, and you can just click on it on our webpage on the blog if you want to take a look at the written form of this broadcast. And the County Roscommon Heritage and Genealogy Centre is what it is all about, and they offer research services for people with Roscommon roots since 1988. So that's going back quite a ways. Located in Strokestown and housed in the former Church of Ireland there, they are the designated Irish Family History Foundation Center for County Roscommon, and they specialize in individually researched family history reports according to the website itself. And I tell you that Roscommon at Strokestown, that center was one of the first ones I went to back when these research centers first started in Ireland, and they were pretty sharp at that time. They had an award-winning service, so we hope that tradition established back in the late 80s is still going on today. You might as well just let me know if you've had any experience with them. Drop me an email and tell me what you thought of the research and how it went. Well, we don't have a whole lot of extra time today, so let's move right on to the curious news and notes. It's the Festival of Fools, May 1st to May 5th in Belfast, Ireland. And the Festival of Fools gives us a variety of international street and circus performers in the Belfast city centre. It's a celebration of foolishness and comedy. And if you want more information, it'll be on the phone number given in our blog. We ought to have more things named more honestly like that. A Festival of Fools. My. Well, let's move on to number 2. Well, we might have somebody else that was playing a fool for a while here. B&Q, a retailer in Ireland, they've recalled their sonic mole repeller devices from all their stores in Northern Ireland. And why would that be? Quite simply because there are no moles in Ireland. The stores admitted the mistake after several months of stocking the items on the shelves. Well, I read about that first in BBC News, and I thought that was real interesting. A little too anxious to sell all your products when you know the people can't handle them anyway. Yes, we have no moles. Number 3, Environmental Minister John Gormley has announced grants for homeowners who keep bat roosts in their attics or on their properties. Mr. Gormley says that there are so many myths about bats, the poor little things, but he believes that they're really very intelligent and social animals. Very interesting. Bats and moles in Ireland, and fools. Well, a festival of fools with bats and moles, it all goes together. Well, now we're just about done. Let's take, we've got time for what? Four quick events. We'll just repeat that I'm going to be in the Savannah Area Genealogical Society banquet room, looking out over the city there on April 26th at 7 o'clock. You can call Walt Harper at area code 912-631-3301 if you'd like to join us. It's not going to be a giant crowd, probably 50 people or so. So you're sure welcome to join on in, and I'd be glad to talk to you before or after. Number 2, there's a Gaeltacht weekend to be held in Canada. That's an Irish language immersion weekend, and it's being held in Kingston, Ontario on April 25 to 27 at the Country Squire Best Western Resort. Well, that ought to be an interesting thing. And number 3, Another Irish language item: there's an Irish conversation circle being held in Bray, County Wicklow, Ireland. And it's a conversation group for individuals to brush up on their Irish language skills. And it's operating in Bray, County Wicklow, and they meet on Tuesdays. I've got a phone number if you need more information to call. Just check our blog. And number 4, the final item for the day, so we can end on time here for a change. The Stone King School of Irish Dance in Columbia, Missouri is holding Thursday evening step dance classes for children age 5 to 11. It's a 6-week session, and it begins on Thursday, April the 24th. The cost is about $60 for the entire course. And contact Monica Stone King if you're interested. I've got that phone number on the blog. And the only other thing I can think of happened this week, I got a phone call from a descendant of the gentleman that led the St. Patrick's Day Parade in 1873, belonged to an early Irish organization that predated the Ancient Order of Hibernians here in Kansas City. And he has some artifacts, an old billy club used by the officer and or the marshal. I think he was a marshal of the county. And also a ceremonial sword that he probably used to lead that parade. So there's a lot of history creeping about, and we just might learn a little bit more this coming week. We sure thank folks for calling in with information like that, and we can get a little of attention to the history of the Irish in the cities all across America with that kind of help. So with that, I'll just say, remember to send your books, music, or family search to me here at the Irish Roots Cafe by email or by mail to our American address at the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world on my phone recorder at 816-256-3360 or Skype me at Mick the Bridge. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.